Hey there, happy artists. Welcome to Kyle Heath Art. This video is a snapshot of what my Patreon subscribers are enjoying right now with their membership. I think you'll find it relaxing, encouraging, and of course packed full with art tips. If you like this video, you'll get so much more on my Patreon. Painting, drawing, and more. Visit the link in my description to learn more about my Patreon. And with that, on to the video. Next question, how do I do social media marketing? So my focus for most of this video obviously is on Instagram. And that's because that's where everyone is right now. That's where most of you are as artists. And it just makes sense to talk about that a lot because that's kind of the dominant social medium for us artists these days. It's going to change down the road, I'm sure, but a lot of these principles will probably be the same. But so I'll be talking about Instagram for the answer to this question, but it applies to Facebook. It applies to, anything else. So how do I do social media marketing? The answer to that is that your main focus should be on engagement. That may be a new word for you guys. Engagement is how people are engaged with the latest Instagram post that you made. And engagement is Instagram's 100% main goal. The ways that you could see how people are engaging with your work is how many likes you're getting by it, how many shares, how many people are saving that image. And then there's other metrics for engagement that Instagram probably sees that we don't, like, maybe how long they're looking at your picture or something like that. So these are all metrics of engagement, how engaged people are with your work. And the reason why that's Instagram's main goal is because Instagram is in the business of keeping people on their app and super duper interested for as long as possible. Because if they keep scrolling through, that feed looking at more stuff, that means they're viewing more ads. And that means that Instagram is making more money off of ads being viewed. So anything that you can do to boost people's engagement with your work is going to benefit your marketing because Instagram is working for you there. You're working for Instagram there. You both have the shared goal of people staying on Instagram looking at your stuff. Real quickly, I want to talk about the anatomy of an Instagram post, like what actually happens when you post something on Instagram. You might notice that some of your Instagram posts may get, tons and tons of likes and views, and other ones just totally bomb for some reason. Like they don't get seen by anybody. They certainly don't get seen by all of your followers. And I know that's super disconcerting and weird when it happens. You feel like, well, I have like 500 friends on Instagram, but none of them have seen my post for some reason. What does it even mean to have followers? I know, it's kind of weird. But the way an Instagram post works is if you, post a drawing on Instagram, Instagram is going to show that to a very small subset of your followers. It's like a test bed, kind of. Now, if that very small group of followers doesn't engage with your post, whatever Instagram sees as engagement, what we can see as likes and stuff like that. If they don't engage with it, then Instagram just puts the brakes on your post right there. And they won't show it at all to any of your other followers. I know that sucks. And it's like totally not fair. You worked so hard to get these followers. But that's the way an Instagram post works. They send it off to a test bed of your followers and, maybe people who like a certain hashtag. If those people don't find that post engaging, then Instagram's just not going to show it to anybody else. And on the other side, if people are super duper engaged with it, then they'll not only show it to all your followers, but they'll show it to people who aren't your followers, especially if you have hashtags and stuff like that. So that's a little bit of insight on why engagement is really, really important. So, when you're trying to figure out how to make your own posts more engaging, as engaging as possible, there's a couple things you can do. The number one thing is probably to look at your own posts. Look at the ones that have had the most engagement, the most likes, the most follows that have come from your post, the most saves, all that stuff. And if you don't have an Instagram business account, upgrade to that too. That'll give you these metrics. And if you don't know how to do that, just Google it. So you're going to look at your most engaging posts, and while you're doing that, try to find certain commonalities between the stuff that people seem to like the most. Do people really respond to when you paint flowers? Do people really respond when you have a studio shot, or maybe when you talk about a personal subject, in your text copy of your post? Find the things that seem to engage people the most and then double down on those. Use that as a guideline for your future posts and start trying to channel that juju that you had when you were making something that got really engaged with. Try to make more and more stuff of that character. Another thing you can do when you're thinking about how to be more engaging with your social media is take a look at the other art accounts that you really love and think about, what do you find the most interesting about them? Is it a way the picture is set up? Is it the subject matter? Why do you follow other people? And then take those things and make it a part of how you communicate with the world. And that's totally personal and natural because you're playing off of your own interests. You're not being disingenuous or stealing somebody else's idea or doing something that isn't you, because these are the things that interest you. These are the things that feel natural to you. So use the art accounts that you like as inspiration for how you can make posts that might be more engaging. Then, to take kind of a bird's eye view of engagement for a second, let's think about what engagement really is on like a high level. When you're engaging with people, what you're doing is you're making people feel something when they look at your work. You're using your own personal voice, and people are moved by your post in some way. And there's so many different ways that people can feel something from an Instagram post. I follow some people on Instagram because they teach me cool and interesting things. I might learn new painting techniques or something. So I'm moved and engaged by their work because they've educated me. You may find that it's more natural for you to move people by inspiring them. You might offer encouragement or words of wisdom, things that might give people hope, and they're getting a feeling by that. Some artists might get engagement because they make really, really weird paintings or something. There's artists that, make their entire living off of like, gruesome dark art, or, there's comic book artists that make people laugh. There's so many different ways to make people engaged, but the heart of the matter is, in every single way, these people are feeling something. So whatever you can do in your posts that make people feel, it's gonna be worth it. Rather than just posting the next picture, sorry, the next picture, think about how you can communicate to people that would make them feel something. And I know this is work and you just want to post on Instagram and then get to your next painting, but it may actually be worth posting less on Instagram and taking that extra 10 minutes that you would have spent posting tomorrow and take a little bit more time to think about, like, how can I move people with this? How can I create something, write something, take a picture of something that might strike more of a chord with people rather than just throwing something out there without thinking about it. Another important aspect to social media marketing is hashtags. And hashtags are a way for you to reach out to people who aren't already your followers. So, for example, if you're an oil painter, you might use the hashtag oil painting. And people who do searches for the hashtag oil painting, your work might show up. And the key for hashtags is you want to go for ones that don't have a ton of competition. I know the most natural and simple thing to do would be to put in hashtag art or something every time you make a post. But think about it. How many people are putting the hashtag art on their stuff? If you look at hashtag art, there's probably like, 300 million Instagram posts there. And so you're competing against 300 million people for your thing to get viewed. It's not going to get viewed unless you're like Kim Kardashian or something. Like it's a worthless hashtag. So instead of just doing like hashtag art, what you want to do is find hashtags that don't have a lot of competition. And this takes a little bit of research, but the key is narrow down your niche as much as you can and then find hashtags that, only have like a couple thousand posts instead of millions. Another important aspect to building your social media following is engaging with others. And honestly, this may be the most important one. Think about it. People absolutely love talking about themselves. For the most part, people don't want to talk about you, they want to talk about them. So, with social media marketing and with any marketing in general, the more you can make other people the hero, listen to them, think about their dreams, encourage them, the more you're going to win. People want to talk about themselves. They're their favorite subject. That's just part of being human. So spend time when you're thinking about expanding your reach with social media by finding new people, by looking at other people's stuff and commenting on their posts and liking their stuff and following them if you want to follow them. Engage with others, and that can be one of the best ways to increase your own following and make people willing to spend the time of day to look at your stuff. They now have an emotional connection with you because you like them just like they like them. And one other thing about this engaging with others is, for the most part, you want to work on your own level when you do this. Here's what I mean by that. Say you have 400 Instagram followers. When you're engaging with other people, you primarily want to talk to people who have, 600 to 300 Instagram followers. Maybe don't engage with people who have 20,000 Instagram followers until you're closer to that level. You want to focus your communication on people who are like you, who are at your spot. And you're going to grow. And over time, you'll communicate with people who have a larger following. But that's a way to make engaging with others a little bit more effective. And the last thing I want to mention here is the idea of follow for follow. It's a pretty common technique on the social media world that a lot of accounts will follow a whole bunch of other people in the hopes that they'll get a few follows back. And then a week later or so, they'll unfollow all of those accounts. So they're left with a bunch of new followers, but they're not following those people anymore. And I would caution you to not practice that technique. I know that it's probably effective and a great way to get a lot more followers, but it's disingenuous and dishonest in my mind. You always want to put forward your true self in your business practice. And there's just kind of something yucky about that. Maybe there's a chance that most of those people will never know or never notice, but I find that if you enact your business practices honestly, be your true self, don't don't lie or deceive, just be your natural self, things will always go better for you in the end.